My name is Corey Branson. I am 55 years old, and in a family built on polished reputations and carefully curated perfection, I've always been the quiet one, the father people overlook, the man who fixes things but never gets listened to. While my siblings carved out louder, shinier lives, I stayed in the background, raising my son, running a modest business, pretending the distance didn't sting. Maybe that's why I noticed the cracks first, the way people looked away too quickly. The way Talia smiled with just a little too much calculation. I've spent years convincing myself I was imagining it, until the morning the photographer called and told me she had footage that would change everything I thought I knew about my own family. And God help me, she was right. The call came at 6:02 a.m. No caller ID, just the buzz slicing through the morning stillness like a scalpel. "Mr. Branson," the voice trembled. "It's Rhea Calhoun. I was your son's wedding photographer." Silence on my end. Her voice cracked like glass. "You need to come in. Today. Alone." "What is this about?" "There's something in the footage." A sharp inhale. "Something wrong." I stepped outside onto the balcony. The Pacific shimmered like nothing had changed. But everything had. "I don't understand," I said. She dropped her voice. "It's about your daughter-in-law, Talia. Before the ceremony, she switched something." She hung up. Cut. Talia was already in my kitchen, humming over the espresso machine like she owned the place. "Morning, Corey," she said brightly. "I left Ethan sleeping. He's been so drained, poor thing." I watched her hands. Elegant, polished, wrapped around a ceramic mug. "You know," she added casually, "his wedding band was too tight. I told him to let it go, but he's so sentimental about that old design. We ended up switching it out for the ceremony." I didn't reply. I just watched her stir cream into her coffee as if nothing about her life depended on deception. People lie the way some people breathe, naturally, rhythmically, without effort. At 7:13 a.m., my inbox chimed, a blurred still frame from Rhea, Talia, in the bridal suite, holding two identical rings. Timestamp, 10 minutes before the vows. By 9 a.m., I was at Rhea's studio, downtown, brick walls, blacked out windows. She double-locked the door behind me. "Why the secrecy?" I asked. She didn't answer, just turned to her editing bay, eyes hollow. "I didn't mean to see it," she whispered. I was cutting around prep footage, checking light balance. Then this. She hit play. The screen flickered. Bridal suite, Talia by the dresser, alone. She reached into her bag, pulled out a ring box, took Ethan's ring, my ring, and placed it on the table. Then replaced it with another, slightly wider, subtly different in luster. Her eyes flicked toward the camera, just for a second, and then she smiled. "That's not the ring I had custom made," I said. Rhea nodded slowly. "There's more." She clicked through clips. Another camera angle, wide shot. Talia stepped toward the door. Her mouth moved, whispered something to someone just out of frame. A shadow passed the hallway glass. Rhea paused the frame. "She wasn't alone," she whispered. "Back in my car, I called Ethan straight to voicemail. I sat for a long time in silence, then dialed again, straight to voicemail. Marriage is the perfect cover, my brother once said. You can call it love and hide anything inside it. Control, greed, even war." I drove home, found Talia in the living room, laptop open, AirPods in, humming. She didn't look up. "You switched his ring," I said. She froze. Slowly, she looked over her shoulder, smiled faintly. "Oh, Corey," she said. "What makes you think that matters?" Rhea. Who was Talia talking to? The air in Rhea's studio had changed. Colder now. The kind of cold that didn't come from faulty HVAC, but from knowing something you weren't supposed to see. I stared at the frozen image on her monitor. Talia's hand hovered over the ring box. There were two rings. Same shape, same metal, but only one was mine. "She planned it," I said. Rhea's lips tightened. "Look closer." She rolled the footage back 2 seconds. Talia stepped away from the dresser, paused, whispered something low, almost inaudible, then turned her head toward the hallway. "She's not talking to herself," I said. "Exactly." Rhea clicked into the audio feed. Static hiss. Faint hum. Then, "He can't know. Not him." I felt my gut twist. "Not Ethan?" I asked. Rhea's eyes flicked up. "Who else would she mean?" I didn't answer, Couldn't. A whisper like that doesn't feel like panic. It feels like calculation. I left the studio fast. Santa Barbara was too calm. Palm trees line the street like nothing could possibly go wrong here. At the red light, I called Ethan. Voicemail. Again. Voicemail. I leaned my head back against the seat and closed my eyes. Someone once told me, the more perfect something looks, the more carefully you should examine its edges. I was starting to see the jagged corners. I pulled into the driveway. Talia's Tesla was gone. The house was too quiet. Ethan wasn't downstairs, his phone still off. I walked into his office. The drawer where he kept the original ring design paperwork was half open, empty. The file had been there since last spring. I helped him fill it out. Bank records, appraisal, authentication certificate, everything required for insurance. Gone. I stepped back, checked the trash. Nothing. Then I checked the browser history. Cleared. I called Rhea again. Run the hallway camera, I said. What? The prep hallway. Where Talia whispered. There had to be another angle. Pause. I'll check. Click. 20 minutes later, my phone buzzed. One photo. Grainy. Low res. A man in a charcoal suit, standing just outside the bridal suite door. Hands behind his back, watching Talia. No name, no badge, no credential lanyard, not staff, not a guest. A stranger. I drove back to the studio. Rhea met me outside. He's not in any of the booking logs, she said. Not in the planner's files, not in the hotel's database. It's like he slipped in through the wall. Inside, she played a second clip, a side camera angle from the florist team's GoPro. This time, the man in the gray suit leans slightly forward. Rhea enhanced the audio. Barely a whisper. It's time. Then Talia looked over her shoulder, nodded once, like she was following orders. That ring, what if it's more than sentimental, I asked. What do you mean? The original had something inside. Ethan mentioned. Something months ago. A security microchip embedded near the inner band. It was part of a dual authentication system tied to the trust. Rhea's eyes widened. You think she knew? She didn't marry my son for love. At 4:31 p.m., I got a text. No name, just a black image. A burned photo, torn, scorched. Looked like a wedding picture. Then, stop looking. You're already too late. The message auto-deleted in 10 seconds. By nightfall, I had 3 things. A fake ring on my son's finger, a missing document trail, a stranger who vanished after whispering one line, and 0 answers. I poured a glass of water, hands shaking. Sometimes the people closest to you aren't hiding from you. They're hiding you from the truth. I climbed the stairs. Ethan's door was half open. Inside, bed unmade, shoes missing, phone charger gone, the nightstand drawer open, empty. He was gone. The only thing left was a velvet ring box, snapped in half. Inside, a fragment of the original ring, cleanly broken. I stared at it. The break wasn't accidental. It was precision cut. No one breaks titanium by accident. Corey. That man wasn't a guest. He wasn't supposed to be at the wedding at all. Then who the hell was he? The man in the hallway had no name, no badge, no record, no face in any vendor file or guest list. But he was there, watching, whispering, moving like he belonged in a place he shouldn't have. I sent the photo to a friend of mine, Derek Latner, ex-cop turned security consultant. 10 minutes later, he called back. I've seen that guy before. My chest tightened. He's not just a ghost, Derek said. His name used to be Marston Hale. Ran data skims out of Nevada 5 years ago. No convictions, no paper trail since 2021. What's he doing at my son's wedding? You don't want the real answer to that. I didn't sleep that night. By sunrise, I was back in the bridal suite. The hotel had cleaned everything. Perfect white linens, pressed drapes, lavender diffuser still puffing its lies into the room. But I wasn't looking for clean. I was looking for what didn't belong. Inside the closet, tucked behind a stack of spare towels, I found it. A guest services envelope, torn on one edge. Inside, a printed meeting slip. Talia Harrington, 7:13 a.m., private dining room. Signed in under a false name. I scanned the check-in signature. Marston Hale. Downstairs, concierge. I asked about the private dining room. He blinked. That room's normally locked off, reserved for executive clients. We don't let wedding guests in there. Can I see the camera feed? He hesitated. That would need management approval. Then call your manager. While he stuttered, I walked past him into the security room. Fast, quiet, controlled. They kept 3 days of security footage on internal drives. The staffer in charge wasn't more than 22. I didn't ask. I just looked at the screen. Timestamp 7:12 a.m. Talia entering the dining room, alone. 7:14 a.m. Marston enters after her. At 7:26, they leave. Not together, 2 minutes apart. Different exits. Clean. Planned. I took a phone pic of the screen. The kid looked nervous. I wasn't supposed to let you in. You didn't, I said. You left to grab coffee. Back in the car, I called Rhea. Her voice was low, tired, frayed. I kept looking at the footage, she said. The hallway. The angle where he stands. Yeah? There's a reflection in the glass. I frowned. A what? He's not alone. She sent me the freeze frame. A mirrored panel across from the bridal suite showed both Talia and Marston, and another figure. Off-center, female, curled blonde hair, gray silk blouse, pearl necklace. Lynn, Ethan's mother-in-law. I gripped the wheel so hard my knuckles went white. Lynn hadn't even been on the guest prep floor. At least, not officially. I drove straight to her house. Brentwood. Gated. Beige. Soulless. She answered the door in a cashmere robe, as if we were still family. Corey, she said smoothly, I wasn't expecting you. Where's Ethan? Her smile didn't waver. Shouldn't you be asking your wife? You know we're divorced. A pause. She studied me. You look tired. I know what you did. A beat. Then she stepped aside, motioned me in. Inside, the air was colder than outside. House too perfect. Pictures hung too straight. She poured 2 drinks. People like us, she said, handing me the glass. We build things with stories, traditions, promises. But sometimes, she sipped, those traditions turn into chains. You were at the bridal suite. Was I? In the footage, your reflection, with Talia and Marston. Her smile dropped. You've been busy, she said. You made him marry her. She laughed softly. No one makes a man fall in love, but when he does, you help him make the right choices. You tampered with his prenup. I protected my daughter. You endangered my son. She stepped closer. Or I saved him from himself. A noise outside. Loud. Fast. Like tires. I moved to the window. A dark SUV pulled away from the curb. Who was that? I asked. Lynn didn't answer. I stepped out the door, ran toward the driveway. Too late. No plate. No chance. Just burned rubber and a humming in my skull that said, you're not done here. That night, I sat alone in my den. Every light off. Phone in hand. Screen dark. At 1:13 a.m., it buzzed. Unknown number. No message. Just a voicemail. I played it. Faint breath. Distant. Windy. Then a whisper. Stop looking for the ring. Or Ethan disappears next. The voicemail kept replaying in my head as I sped up the coast highway. Stop looking for the ring. Or Ethan disappears next. Threats don't shake you unless they sound like promises. This one did. Wind slapped the side of my car. Dawn crawled over the cliffs, pale and indifferent. I pressed harder on the gas, needing movement, needing anything other than the image of Ethan tied to a chair somewhere while I pieced clues together too slowly. Then, headlights, sharp, sudden, wrong. A black SUV shot out from a gravel turnout, fast, silent. It veered into my lane. I jerked the wheel. Tires screamed. Metal shuddered. The world tilted. I caught a glimpse through the windshield. Gray suit standing near the guardrail, arms crossed, watching. Not surprised, not moving to help. Then the car flipped. 1, 2, 3 brutal rotations. Sand and glass exploded around me. The world went white. Cut. When I crawled out of the wreck, blood dripping from my hairline, the SUV was gone. The man in the gray suit, too. I staggered up the incline, one hand gripping the guardrail. The ocean below smashed itself against the rocks with a fury I felt in my ribs. Somewhere behind me, a voice rose in my memory, something Derek once told me. People don't try to kill you unless you're close to a truth they can't afford you to reach. My hands trembled. I wasn't close. I was inside whatever this was. I called 911 to report the wreck, gave a clean, lawful statement. Vehicle forced off the road, unknown driver, potential attempted homicide. They told me CHP would collect the vehicle and call me within 24 hours for an official deposition. That's how it works. California protocol. But 24 hours was too long. I needed Ethan now. I made it home around 9:30 a.m., bandaged from the urgent care across the street, smelling like antiseptic and adrenaline. The front door was ajar. Bad sign. Very bad. Ethan, I called. Nothing. The living room was untouched, but the hall. Drawers open, jackets tossed, a picture frame smashed on the floor. His phone wasn't charging by the entry table. His shoes were gone. So were his wallet and car keys. I ran to his bedroom. Empty. Bed sheets tangled like someone had been grabbed, not woken. The window cracked open just enough for someone to slip out. On the pillow lay the broken ring fragment. No note. No hint. Just the message burned into the silence. You lost him. My knees nearly buckled. A line I'd once heard echoed in my skull. Every man eventually learns that love is the weakness his enemies will go for first. They'd taken my weakness. I needed answers, fast, clean. No theatrics. I called Derek again. Pull everything you can on Talia's past. Bank statements, alias history, prior addresses. She's not who she says she is. I already started, he said. And Corey, she changed her legal identity 6 years ago. Why? She was being investigated in Utah. Financial crimes. Joint activity with a guy named Marston Hale. Silence. You already know, he said quietly. They're working together, I replied. And they have Ethan. Then you need to understand something, Derek said. People like Hale don't kidnap for ransom. They extract compliance. My throat tightened. Compliance for what? That's the part you're not going to like. I went back to Ria's studio, still reeking of gasoline and cliff dust. She froze when she saw the bandages. What happened to you? Someone tried to run me off the road. Her face drained of color. Ria, pull up the original ceremony files. All angles. Bride, groom, bridal party. There's something else in there. She hesitated. Corey, I already... Please. She nodded and dimmed the room. The footage played. Soft orchestral music. Guests rising. Ethan standing at the altar, trying to mask nerves. Ria scrubbed to the bridal hallway. The moment Talia stepped out. Pause. I pointed at the mirrored panel again. Zoom. She enhanced the reflection. 3 people. Talia, Marston, and a woman. Blonde hair, gray silk blouse. Pearls. Lynn. You sure? Ria whispered. No doubt. Why would she help them? Because she benefits, I said. Maybe through the trust. Maybe through control. Maybe through something darker. Ria replayed the moment. Slow. Glitching slightly. Talia's lips moved. A whisper, directed not at Marston but at Lynn. Like choreography. Like ritual. The hairs on my arms lifted. My phone buzzed. Unknown number again. I put it on speaker. A voice. Calm. Collected. Too close. Mr. Branson, this doesn't have to escalate. You already escalated, I snapped. You took my son. He's safe. For now. But you're chasing shadows you don't understand. What do you want? A long exhale. Almost a sigh. For you to stop pretending you're a bystander. Click. Cut. My breath shook. Corey, Ria said. We're missing something. We're missing why, I replied. Why the ring? Why the switch? Why Ethan? Ria's eyes widened. The chip inside the original ring. That's tied to the trust's multi-factor access, right? Yes, I said slowly. Biometric and encrypted tokenized signature, a safeguard his mother set up. So the ring wasn't symbolic. No, I whispered. It was a key. A knock rattled the studio window. Hard, loud, intentional. We both froze. I turned. A shadow stood outside in the alley, too still to be someone passing by. Then the shadow stepped back, melted into the dark. I swallowed hard. Danger wasn't circling us. It had arrived, and the message was clear. Come find your son, if you dare. The boathouse sat at the edge of the marina like a discarded secret. Paint peeling, windows blacked out. No noise, no sign of life. But Ethan was in there. I could feel it in my gut, in the marrow of my bones where fathers just know. Derek's voice echoed in my head. These people don't kidnap. They reprogram. Get in fast. Don't reason with wolves. I moved through the fog like a ghost. Each step down the dock creaked, the echo disappearing into the water like a warning swallowed. I had no plan, just fury and a Glock. Inside, the air was wet, smelled like rust and salt and something faintly chemical. I kept my back to the wall, eyes sharp, ears sharper. A low click, then a voice. Mr. Branson. Remy Hale stepped from the shadows in that same gray suit, wrinkled now, blood on the sleeve, not his. You came, he smiled. Fathers always do. Behind him, Ethan, bound to a chair, gagged, alive, eyes wild, his left hand swollen. No ring. My knees nearly gave out. Let him go. Of course, Remy said, as soon as you give me the access codes. To what? You know what. He tossed something toward me, the original wedding ring. Whole again. Perfect. I caught it midair. Remy stepped closer. That ring carries biometric signature access to the trust, he said. Your ex-wife built the firewall, but Ethan was the inheritor, the only inheritor. You married him off to bypass the will. Smart boy. He grinned. My hands tightened on the gun. This doesn't end with you walking away. No, he said, but it can end with him walking away. A noise behind me. Talia stepped out of the side room. Face calm, dress casual, eyes dead. She looked at me like I was nothing, like this had always been the plan. I loved him, she said, like it mattered. But love doesn't pay debts. Neither does betrayal, she shrugged. Betrayal's a luxury for people who had something to lose. They moved toward Ethan. I raised the gun. Don't. Shoot me, and you'll never get the decrypt key, Remy said. Then we all lose. He laughed. You're not built for blood, Corey. He was wrong. Some of us are born to break when pushed. Others are born to break back. From the shadows, gunfire. One shot. Remy dropped, shoulder hit, screamed. Rhea stepped through the door behind me, shaking, holding a revolver with both hands. Move, she hissed. I rushed to Ethan, cutting the duct tape with a box cutter. He gasped air, voice broken. Dad, I've got you. Talia tried to run. Rhea fired again, missed, but the bullet shattered the lantern behind Talia, sparks flaring, smoke erupting. She stumbled coughing, reaching for a bag. Too slow. I tackled her, hard. She fought like someone who's been in fights before. Nails, elbows, dirt. I slammed her wrist against the concrete. The gun in her hand clattered. Rhea kicked it away. Talia glared up at me, chest heaving. You think this ends here? She spat. I looked her dead in the eye. No. And then I cuffed her with the zip ties I pulled from her own stolen kit. Police lights turned the water red and blue. Sirens howled in the distance like wolves coming home. We sat on the dock, Ethan shivering under a thermal blanket. Rhea beside him, silent. I held the ring in my hand. It was warm. And for the first time, I realized it wasn't just a key. It was bait. Remy to Corey, blood on his shirt, laughing as he's cuffed. You think this ends here? That ring opens more than a trust. It didn't end with sirens. Justice doesn't clap. It grinds. Slow, cold, bureaucratic. Weeks passed, depositions, statements, paper trails longer than back roads in Missouri. Remy Hale pled not guilty. Talia flipped, offered everything. Testimony, records, passwords, emails, the works. In exchange, immunity for attempted coercion, pending restitution. I didn't flinch. Some people trade in secrets. Others bleed in truth. Ethan recovered quietly. He barely spoke for the first few days. His wrist still bruised from the restraints, but the silence wasn't emptiness. It was reformation. You didn't believe me, he finally said. I know, I told him, and I'll live with that. He looked at me then, and for the first time, I didn't see a boy trying to prove himself. I saw a man who had survived a battlefield I'd never even noticed. You came, he whispered. That's all that matters now. Sometimes forgiveness isn't granted, it's earned. The ring was turned over to authorities. The encrypted accounts were seized, the trust frozen pending full federal audit. It turned out Remy's operation spanned 5 states, with shell marriages and fake charities used to launder funds. Talia had been part of 4 weddings. Ethan was just the cleanest mark yet. What chilled me most wasn't the money. It was how ordinary it all looked. Tuxedos, cake, laughter, people applauding a con they never knew they were part of. A lie wrapped in tradition. At the lake house, I stood by the window, watching a storm come in. People don't fall, my father once told me. They're pushed. And if no one's there to catch them, they learn how to land harder next time. I didn't catch Ethan soon enough, but maybe I taught him how to stand again. Behind me, Rhea poured coffee. You ever wonder, she said, why people do all this? Not just for money, but the lies, the manipulation, the layers. Control, I said. Some people are terrified of being invisible. They'd rather destroy something than be ignored by it. She nodded slowly. Maybe. Or maybe they never had anyone show them how to build something honest. The last time I saw Talia, it was behind glass. Her eyes didn't flinch. She smiled when she saw me. You win, Corey, she said softly. But you still don't get it. Get what? You think this was about Ethan, or the money, or even the trust. Wasn't it? No. She leaned closer. It was about breaking someone you thought couldn't be broken. She tapped the glass. It wasn't Ethan I wanted to ruin, it was you. And then she winked, like it was still a game, like it would never be over. I didn't tell Ethan about that visit. Some wounds don't need to be shared to be real. Instead, I took him fishing, just us. Like when he was 6 and used to believe the lake had monsters. I let the quiet say, what words couldn't? We don't get to choose the people who betray us. But we do choose who we become afterward. Months later, on the morning of the hearing, I stood in front of the mirror, adjusting the tie I hadn't worn in years. Ethan joined me at the doorway. Are we testifying today? No, I said. Today's just paperwork, but we're closing it for good. He nodded. I changed my last name, he said. Legally, back to Branson. That hit harder than anything. I wanted it to mean something, he added. Now it does. I couldn't speak, so I just gripped his shoulder. Sometimes the blood that binds us isn't what saves us. It's the choice to stay when leaving would be easier. After the hearing, I drove upstate, alone, stopped by a stretch of woods where we used to camp before the world got complicated. I left the old ring there, buried beneath a sycamore, because sometimes closure isn't revenge, it's burial, it's silence. It's knowing you didn't become the monster they tried to make you. As I drove home, the sun broke through the clouds. I thought about something Rhea said once when everything was falling apart. We survive not because we're stronger, but because we still care what's right. And in that moment, I knew. I had survived, and I had not become them.